everyone. Welcome back to the Mom Curious podcast. It's Daniela here. And I am so fortunate to be sitting here with a new friend. We actually just met, but we met through Neha Rush. As so many of you already know, she was our first guest, Neha. And she's coming out with a book. I'm going to link her book below. She is the ultimate connector, and I cannot thank her enough because I'm about to sit here and learn more from Ashley of the Fiscal Femme than I already have. Just from following you, you offer so many great resources, worksheets, lives. Your 2 books, they're not free, but they are readily available. I'm so grateful for the work you do. I was just saying that we have had other sort of money experts on before, but they really focused on the mindset of money, which we both agree is important. But what I love about you is that you're talking brass tacks. You're like, how do we make money? Where do we spend money? How do we save money? And that's where I'm at. Like, I want to know the nitty gritty. And then I want to know a little bit about you. What do you say?
Sounds great. Let's get in the spreadsheet.
Shall we get in the spreadsheet? This is a Wharton Business School girl, all right? She's for real. Do you want to tell us a little bit about yourself, actually? Who are you today?
Yes. Who am I today? That's a really great question.
I know, right? It's like it really throws people right at the start because we have your bio.
Right.
You know, we know about your books. We know about your expertise and even your mission of getting women rich, your feminist mission. Thank you. We know that because we clicked. Yeah. We're listening. But I guess something about moms is like, we want to know who you are today, which will change tomorrow and probably by the publishing of this episode. But
that's the fun of it, I guess. So I am a woman who spends my days growing, trying new things, getting women wealthy, and really value spending time with my kiddos who are 4 and 7. And I'm working on like enjoying life more, doing a lot more enjoying.
Yeah, we were just saying how seemingly responsible you are, like how you seem to enjoy being fiscally responsible, but also just responsible in general.
I think there's something when I see people start to make a lot of progress in their money, it goes from being financially responsible or doing the quote unquote smart things is like this restricting thing to something that's actually fun. Like you enjoy tracking your progress and you enjoy seeing those results, and then it begets more of that and it gets you doing more of the actions.
You have this new initiative where you get together once a month with a group of women. I can't imagine tracking anything, by the way, like calories. The idea of like tracking anything at all feels so overwhelming to me, but your whole mission is to take away the stress of finances. So
yes.
Tell me more about it. How is that even possible?
So to the second point, so much about personal finance can feel very daunting. And so I always say to break it down as small as you need to, that it feels manageable. So if tracking, for example, I think it's a really helpful exercise to I'll do them on Instagram, actually, like a 24-hour money journal.
Yes,
which
I started thanks to you.
Yeah, so that's great. It doesn't have to be tracking everything every day if that feels daunting, but starting with one day or starting with one category. But I did start a money club, which I'm so excited about. I've been trying to figure out like what is the thing I want to offer my audience and my community. And I realized that there are 3 things that I say over and over. And if someone said you can only give 3 pieces of money advice for the rest of your life, what would they be? And the first is to pay yourself first, which is setting up an auto transfer to savings. Because
wait, the same amount every month?
So
is that even possible for some people?
For some people, maybe not, but starting as little as you need to. So even if it's $5.
Okay.
But what I've found is that no matter how much or little we earn, like the money is just gone at the end of the month.
Yeah.
And if we and this happened to me over and over, if we just wait to see what's left over, there's never money left over. There
for
are
savings?
people, for savings,
so
to put towards goals.
Okay, so when you pay yourself, you're actually paying yourself toward a goal or a savings, something where you're delaying gratification. in some way.
Right. You're putting it to whatever the top priority goal is. So if it's the rainy day fund, if you're investing, just having it be automatic like we do all our other bills, because we pay everyone else.
Okay.
And then we're like, please, I hope there's money left. And
yeah, and that's not how it
and
goes.
then you think, I just need to earn more. And then you earn more, and it still doesn't happen. So that is something that I found for most people. There are unicorns that save just by seeing what's left over. But most of us, like, that is a really helpful strategy. And then the other two things are things that we do in the Money Club. So have money parties every month.
What does that mean? What are you talking about?
Money party is time we set aside to show our money some love, because we can put together a plan, but if we don't check in on it, if it's not realistic, I can't tell you how often we say, if I said, like, how much do you spend on groceries? Like, we'd be wildly off, right?
Yes.
It's just, we don't know where our money's going for a lot of reasons. So checking in every month, or things change, especially when you have kids, right? They're like new expenses. Some things go away. We have more information. We change what's important to us. So
and also I think the world has changed. Prices have changed.
Yes.
And the way we pay for things changed. Like, when I saw that you were tracking your money on Instagram, I thought, okay, that's great. I used to do that when I was, a hostess. When I first graduated from college, I was like $120,000 in debt. I was, paying my student loan and living in a 1-bedroom apartment with 4 girls and hundreds of bed bugs, and honestly, it was like the time of my life. And I would track everything I spent day in and day out. But there's something about the way we spend money these days on Amazon, on our Apple Pay, that I found was a little harder, actually. And so that challenge, or just the world being different and the way we do things being different, just kind of makes me want to avoid it.
Yeah.
But you're the second person sitting here in this chair to say, like, you can't make more money if you don't pay attention to your money. If you're ignoring it, like a lover, like a kid,
yes,
like a talent, it doesn't want to grow for you. It doesn't want to shine. It's an energetic sort of exchange. And it's also, as we say, practical.
Right.
If you
and
just
I have
don't know.
noticed when you focus on it, you'll notice little good things happen, because it's like you're finally giving it that attention. So I always ask, and also, it helps to look for it. But like, did you find $50 or an account you've been missing? Just by showing it that attention and love, like, good things happen. So,
Yeah.
But I do think there's this idea with all the electronic things going on, like with your credit card.
Yes.
You could log in at any point and see what you spent.
Yes, you could.
So it feels like maybe it's being tracked for you, but it's in a lot of different places. So, and we're not really, it's not. We need to do it. So
you track it yourself. I know that you offer a lot of worksheets that, by the way, my husband and I, we've made a date to go over. Yeah. You have this 48-hour, what's it called?
The 48-hour money makeover.
Yeah. I was like, want to do this with me? In preparation of this conversation.
That's awesome.
Yeah. It's like a little date we're going to have. But you offer a lot of these spreadsheets that I could not put that together. When I was, making $10 an hour as a hostess, I was going to say waitress, but I wasn't a good waitress. That only lasted like a week. Great hostess. See, here we are. But when I was doing that, I would just write it down. Yeah. Which may be a fine way to,
yes,
or do it on Instagram.
It's however works. I think the goal is to just know where your money's going.
Okay.
If it's an app, if it's writing it down, if it's putting in notes on your phone, if it's a physical notebook, as long as you know where your money's going, that is where the magic is.
Mm-hmm. Do you have any apps that you recommend? Wasn't there Mint.com at some point? Is that still helpful?
Yes, it's not. It's gone now.
Okay, well, there you go. Yeah.
Rocket. I have actually a quiz that I can link it's like, answer these questions and it will recommend an app for you.
Wow.
If you want to use an app.
And wait, this is your quiz?
Yes.
Oh my God, you're the best. Thank you. Look below. Okay, so what's the other thing after your money party? The party is surrounding what happened with my money this week?
Yes. So it's essentially
or is it this month?
The month, but if you do them more often, they're shorter because you're only tracking for the week. So some people like to do them every week, but then you have to do it every week. So it's like a trade-off. But the idea with the money party is you make it really fun. I make a mocktail of the month with everyone. We put on a playlist of songs that like pump us up about money.
It's community, which actually is very motivating and healthy.
Body doubling, you know, like you're on there together.
Oh, tell me more about body doubling. We've never really talked about that, but it's a real thing for me.
Yes, like just that idea that you're on, like it's that accountability, the being together. So there's a lesson every time, so we learn something. We do a lot of sharing, but then there's actually just time where the music's playing and we're doing our money party.
Great.
And we're on mute and we're just there together so that we do it, because accountability really matters. And this, unfortunately or fortunately, like you don't have to transform your financial well-being overnight, but we're not ever done. So this is a practice, and I think it's the most important money ritual that you can keep. So that is the money party, and that's essentially like having a realistic plan that you're tracking every month.
I'm just going to repeat that it's the most important money ritual that you can keep.
I believe, yes.
Okay.
Is having a money party. Yes.
Cool.
Yes. And then the other part of that, so the last part of the money club, and we do a money party every month and an investing party, but I throw in like office hours, or I'm doing a nerdy money series because my partner and I were talking about, we just bought a home, and
congratulations.
Thank you. We were comparing two types of mortgages, and I of course made like this spreadsheet and I'm like, okay, which one makes the most sense? And then we talked through it, and I thought I should talk about this with my club, and I make a template for it, for how we would think about these and kind of deep dive in the thought process around these big decisions. So we're doing that next week, but
instead of an investing,
I just add it in.
Okay.
I'm just adding it in for fun. Yeah. Okay, cool. But the investing party and the money party happens every month.
What's an investing party?
So the investing party, so the reason that I'm so passionate about getting women investing is we really can't save our way to wealth. And if we are not investing, we're missing out on tens of thousands, if not millions of dollars over the course of our life.
I need more information.
Yeah.
I just need you to know that I just need more information on this. Keep going, please.
And when I think I was 19, I went to this women leadership thing in New York City. And I remember so vividly that a speaker put this slide up about compound interest and showed that even investing like $1,000 a year, which is $83 a month, like you have over $1 million in 60 years. Yes.
No.
So, and this was like the trajectory. And I'm like, wait, what? And that stuck with me. And I think time and investing are just a magical thing. So I know that there's a lot of fear around investing, that we work hard to save our money. We don't want to risk it. And so I do a lot of education in there. We do a money lesson or investing lesson every month. And people ask questions. And then there's time, if someone wants to actually invest, because you think, I'll just hit buy, but then something happens. There's a prompt, like what type of order do you want to make? And then they're stopped again. And so sometimes if you just have someone there with you who you trust to answer a question that might take 2 minutes, you don't get stopped on your money journey.
And you're the person to ask.
Right.
Oh my God, that's great.
So I'm very excited about that.
Where do you invest?
So we had our first money investing party was all around choosing a brokerage account. So what to look for. And then after, a bunch of the women opened brokerage accounts. A lot of them set up automatic investments. So they're in all different places depending on what they chose, or maybe they already had an account somewhere. It's not like there's one place that's the right answer. But this time we're talking all about funds and how to choose your investments. And so it's just incredible, because now we're sharing our wins in there, and I see someone's investing thousands more a year, someone's saving hundreds of dollars by cutting expenses, and so I'm like, this is what I wanted.
So exciting.
So, yes, it's been really
Why do you
fun.
get so jazzed about women getting wealthy? Why women? Like why not all people? Why not?
Yeah.
Johan's a great guy. He's our engineer today.
Johan, I want you to be wealthy.
I want Johan to be wealthy.
So it's a really great question. I believe that wealth is agency and the ability to have freedom over our time, over our choices. And even in my own life, I left a job that was high paying, but a ton of hours to have a better lifestyle, and money allowed me to do that. Or then to quit my
You
job.
mean your savings allowed you to do that?
Yeah, and knowing how to manage it, because I didn't know. When I quit, I was an investment banker, and I made a lot of money for my age, right?
How fun.
And for that time, but I had no time.
Right. So where are you going to put that money?
I wasn't spending
Towards
anything.
Convenience. I mean, that's really. I mean, my husband was a corporate lawyer when we were younger, and like he made more money than he needed.
Right.
But like, where was he putting it?
Right.
Like, how was he enjoying it? He was, like he was like sleeping 3 hours a night, like working 21 hours a day, you know?
I remember like the corporate lawyers were the ones who were the ones still awake when we went to bed, which was very little sleep time for us too. So that was,
especially when you're young, because you're also learning on the job. So it does take longer.
And so I didn't have a money problem because I didn't have time to spend any money. But when I switched jobs and took a pay cut so that I could see my friends and do things, I was bleeding money and had to figure it out. And that's kind of where the whole business started, because I studied finance. I worked in finance. I didn't know anything about personal finance.
Oh, which is different.
And it was different for me. And I didn't apply it or to my own life. I didn't know how to do a budget. I didn't know. So I started just reading to figure it out, because I thought, if I want to stay in this job where I'm going to happy hour and I'm taking classes on the weekends and I'm, seeing my friends, I need to figure out the money thing. So
what was the second job, out of curiosity?
It was still in finance. It was in corporate finance.
Because you like finance. You just like it.
Yeah, I guess.
It's like fun for you?
Well, yeah, it was. That's a great question. It was a really natural transition, I guess, from banking to work on the company side, doing what I was already doing. But now I do something different, right? My job is less finance and more speaking and marketing and.
Oh, is it?
Yeah, like as an entrepreneur, like as a business owner, there's so many. Yeah, a lot of communicating, I would say.
Educating. Yeah, I mean, the work you do on Instagram is very entertaining, also. Right. Which I gotta give you a kudos.
I would never think that I would be like making videos, dancing, and talking about personal finance. So, but that was, and then when I quit that job to start the Fiscal Femme, it was because of money and knowing financially how I would handle it. That I had a Project Freedom Fund that I would put money in order to have some runway when I quit my corporate finance job. So,
because you knew you wanted to eventually?
Once I started this, and I built it a few years while working, and then ended up doing it full time, and money really helped me do that. And that's just for my own story, but I've seen people be able to leave toxic workplaces or partners that are not the best fit, or even worse, right? And so I think for women to have the confidence to manage their money, it gives them the power and freedom to live their life how they want. And statistics after statistics show that the world is a better place when women have more money.
Talk to me about that.
Women invest 90% of their money back into their families and communities, compared with 30% for men. So it just,
we love Johan.
Johan, I bet he does a lot of that too.
Or not. We still love you.
And all people getting wealthy is great. And I do have
actually not all people getting wealthy is great. We could be honest about that.
That's true.
That's
true. Good people getting wealthy is great.
I'm just joking. I'm just teasing. No, I'm with you on women getting wealthy, having more agency.
Yeah.
And there is a lot of education that needs to go on with women in finance. I mean, how many women were working in finance when you first started out after you graduated from Wharton?
I would say there was a few in my class of, you were usually like a token one, right? At the time.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
At the time, but I think even still now. No?
I think, it depends on the place. I think a lot of places are working to make it better, but I think it's still definitely predominantly male.
And I don't know that women enjoy finances as much. I think we can feel pretty overwhelmed by it, speaking for myself. But we also like to spend a lot of money. I think that, the spending power is in the woman's hand in most households.
Yes.
But we also like beautiful things. It is like the nature of the feminine is to enjoy beauty, And so I think giving us some education around, well, how do you enjoy it for longer
Yeah.
and more is always really important.
And I think too, there's the industry, right? There's just been, we get messages from a young age. I'm forgetting who told me this, but that she worked in finance, but like her grandpa still only talked to her brother about money, you know?
Yeah, of course.
And she's like, this is actually my job. Like, you might want to talk to me about this. So I think we grow up like, this is not a place for you. This is something that, or don't worry, you don't have to learn about that, you know? So I think
you'll be taken care of.
Yes. And like, don't ask about that. That's like, there's so many messages we get about money. So I think definitely education's a big piece. We also have different challenges and factors that into our finances, like that we live longer, so we need more money for retirement, and that maybe our career trajectories look different. We know we have pay gaps and wealth gaps, or we might take a pause, or so just factoring all those things into the conversation that are not always there, I think is really important too.
We mentioned the pause and how we met through Neha Arush and her beautiful book, but you said that you actually, one of the ways that I heard of your work early on was a interview with Neha, because you have a whole sort of plan for how to, pause effectively in terms of your money. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, so I'm very excited to read the book, and I'm a big Neha fan.
The link is below. We love Neha.
Yeah, we do. But just I think there can be, and she speaks so beautifully to this, is how just because you're taking a pause doesn't mean that you have no say on anything in the finances. And I think there can be this feeling like, oh, because the childcare expense is only about me and my job, right? It's not shared expense in the partnership. So, or that because I'm not earning as much, or I'm not earning right now, I can't treat myself, or I can't ask for this, or I don't get a say in the financial decision. So it was a lot about keeping that agency and knowing and being involved and asking questions. And but also, if you want to take a pause, and that might take money to save up, so do you need to save for that? Like, how do you plan for that financially? Also was a conversation we had.
Yeah, I just wanted to actually define the pause. So for many women, we want to be home with our kids and then go back to the workforce. I just thought that would be some good clarification for the listener. And so, I love this idea that like you have to save beforehand, but what if it just sort of comes, what if you're like with your baby and you're like, I don't want to, or I can't go back? What would you say to a person in that situation?
Right, you still
or if the job goes away, which, by the way, I've sat here with so many women who were ready to go back to work and were either demoted or fired after their maternity leave. There are some women who don't get maternity leave at all.
Yeah.
Can we talk like real brass tacks?
Yes.
Can we go? Can you nerd out? Yes. We can do this.
80% of the pay gap can be attributed to motherhood, by the way. So like that is a big, like the motherhood bias. Yes, all of it. So I would say this, you mentioned not wanting to look at it. And I think that can be a tendency, especially if you don't think it will look good. So you didn't plan, right? And you are wanting to take a pause, or you're having a forced pause, and you're thinking, this is not going to look good financially, so I just won't look, right? And I think that's a tendency we have, whether it's a pause, whether it's just budgeting in general with spending, or we have a vacation coming up. Like, I'll start making a plan once the vacation's over, right? I don't want to look. But what I found is that 90% of the time, maybe 99% of the time, we feel better once we look. And like maybe
not while you're looking, but after.
Even, yes, because there's power in knowing. Even if we think we're enjoying avoiding, there's a stress there. There's a wonder. There's a worry. It's like hanging over your head.
Right.
So if we actually look, it might not be great. It might be worse than expected. It might be better than expected. But then we can do something about it. And so you say, okay, without this income, we need a X number of dollars more per month. How are we going to handle that? Do we want to make some changes in our lifestyle as a couple, right? Not just on the mother. Or are we going to pull from savings during this time and view it as an investment in this, or like, this is, there's stages of life.
Yeah.
And this could just be a time where we're going to pull from the savings in order to make it work. Or is it, different things. So I would say you still want to look at what's happening and make a plan, even if you didn't do it in advance.
Mm-hmm. So your first book is a 30-day process.
Yes.
I'm excited to read it. I haven't yet, so I just want to say, me and you, if you haven't read the book, we'll do a book club, guys. Yes. But if you have, this might be some refresher. Tell us about it if you can.
So the 30-day money cleanse, it came out 5 years ago now, and it is still going strong. I'm still a huge fan of the program. It was actually my first group program that I created, and I ran it as a course for 5 years before turning it into a book.
Okay.
And the results were really amazing. So the average person saves $950 during the 30 days, and a large percentage of that going forward. So that was very exciting to see. And they reported that they mostly don't feel like they've given up anything. They're not feeling restricted, because what we do is it's like a juice cleanse, except you're not
starving
staying on the juice,
right? Oh, okay.
And you're not like eating a ton after, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
It's not like a juice cleanse in that it's a sustainable lifestyle. So in the first week, we kind of let go of all non-essential spending, any wants, and you live that way for a week.
Mm-hmm.
You get to define it. So you might say, my yoga class is, essential for my well-being. So it's not, there's no judgment. That's a big part of my entire philosophy, but it's
a matter of your values, right?
You define it, and then you let it go for a week. And what's really cool about that is a lot of things happen. First, a lot of things you don't miss, and you're like, wait, what? And then a lot of things you start to see how much you already have and start to feel really grateful. So then from there, each week we add things back in. So maybe something based on your values that you let go of, but it's really important to you, or something based on a best friend's values, right? Like, this is really important to my partner or my best friend. And so we're going to figure out a way to honor that and my spending at the same time.
Yeah.
We talk about the other people in our lives once we get pretty clear on ourselves.
That's so smart, because that also is like such a mom experience for sure.
Yes.
But a woman experience, like we do care for the people around us, can't be codependent.
Right.
But we do have to factor other people in.
Definitely. And I call them like, not the all people, but people, places, and things that get the best of our spending. I call them environmental toxins. So how do we mitigate them, right? If one of my places was Sephora, like if I go in and get my makeup done, I would buy everything. So like, how do we put some
I love that little tidbit about you.
Yeah.
Okay, now we know.
Random, yeah.
Okay, if we have friends tuning in, that's where you should get Ashley a gift certificate. Just a heads up.
And then by the end you have this sustainable, manageable plan that feels really good, because you're spending on what's important and you've let go what's not.
Mm-hmm.
I used to, when I was in my 20s, I used to go to stores and like look around and shop, because I thought that was supposed to be like fun and what you do. But I really didn't like it.
I really don't like it either.
And I was like, oh, I actually don't like this. I'm doing this because I thought I was supposed to do it. But a lot of things we do on autopilot, and we're not really consciously choosing to do them. And then I would buy things because I'm literally walking into a place that's selling me things.
I would feel embarrassed. Like if I went into like, I don't know, window shop somewhere, I'd be like, now I have to take it. But I'm not taking it. I'm actually paying for it. Like that's not appropriate. So then I like wouldn't walk in at all. But like, you don't have to buy the thing. You're allowed to like look.
It's so funny you bring that up, because I do Financial Fail Friday on Instagram, where people share their fails, their money fails. And every week there are a few that are things like that, like awkward money combos. Like, we don't want to disappoint the salesperson, or
that's like a huge, because of the codependence.
Right. We don't want to ask our friend to split the bill. Like so many of them are these awkward money combos. So I started coaching one person a month.
Love it.
On why am I paying so much more than my roommate in rent when they have a better situation? Let's talk through that. Or is my financial advisor out for my best interests? Let's have a conversation. So these conversations that we kind of avoid and that impact us financially, because we're just we don't want to talk about them.
I love that you remind us of like the fact that we like live longer, because I can't get that out of my head. Like you live longer, you're going to be old. Like if you saved $950 and you invest that, you could have millions of dollars when you're old. You could be a millionaire. Right. You know, like in Hebrew, there's this word called freier. Like you can't be a freier. You can't be like a pushover. Yeah. You can't be a pushover because there's an old lady on the other side of this life that's like really depending on you.
Yes. It's true. And
that old lady is you, by the way. Right. You know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. They say like if you see a picture of yourself as older, you save more. Right?
No, talk to me about that.
Like if you see an image of yourself and decide how much to save, you save more, because it's hard to think about yourself in that many years.
And you're so vulnerable,
right? And you're like, oh wait,
and you deserve like a good life just like any old person. You know,
and you can do it in a way that feels good to you. I think that's something I've learned a lot about negotiation is I've had negotiations where I've course corrected too much and I was like, I deserve this much, you know. And and in these awkward money convos, I do think when we script what they're going to say, it feels very real to them and it's in their style. So it doesn't feel like they're I don't know. It doesn't have to feel like the complete opposite of how if you feel like you're a pushover, or what's the word? Freier. Yeah. You can maybe do it in your still same style, but get what you want.
It's really adulting, I think, in a lot of ways. Like,
yes.
And I think the idea of a woman being taken care of is like infantilizing, and like it's like a I don't know, like a holdover from another time. And we are not infants. We are in fact the matriarchs, yes. or the adults. And so this is like one of the many ways to grow up, is to look at the things that are maybe more difficult or not necessarily comfortable.
And I do think there's reasons for it. Like I want people to have compassion for themselves in this process, because like we couldn't get a credit card on our own until 1972. Like this is not
some people listening in were just born then, or weren't, you know.
It's not like
or
long
already,
history.
Yeah, or we're like, you know, like it's not that long ago.
Right.
My brother was born in 1974, you know, like that was 2 years after.
So I think also as we navigate this, it's okay to make mistakes. I still make mistakes. It can take time. And
you still make mistakes?
Oh, yeah.
What? Like what?
I'm trying to think of my last money mistake, but I definitely do. Oh, one big one that was so funny. So my partner works at a bank and we can only use accounts.
He also is in finance?
Yeah. That's why we're so nerdy together.
Oh my God, it's funny.
But we can only invest and have accounts with certain banks that are approved by his companies.
Okay.
So when he switched companies, we have to usually switch where we keep our investments. And so this time we switched and there was just an account there with money in it that I had lost.
Oh.
Like I had lost track of it. I completely didn't know where. I like had it in my 20s and luckily it was invested.
I'm so glad.
And I found it, but like I completely lost track of an account. That's a mistake.
I mean, and you're like the, fiscal femme.
Yes.
See, so we're all still human.
We're definitely all still human.
We're all still human. You were saying about your kid's birthday party that you made some fun investments, though. I loved this idea of like an ice cream truck instead of a cake.
Yes.
They would be the same amount of money? That's crazy to me.
Well, it depends how nice you go with the cake or how
expensive.
I've
seen some really nice cakes in Brooklyn. Like really crazy nice cakes.
I think even the grocery store cake we got last year was $70. So
it's very expensive. Cakes are very expensive.
Cakes are expensive. And I call it this idea of being fabulously frugal. Like we were talking about Rent the Runway or renting clothing. That feels fabulously frugal to me because maybe I'd spend the same amount, but I'm wearing nicer things. I get to try new things all the time. Like
and you don't have to clean them. We discussed how important that is.
So that feels, and everyone's different. Like that feels fabulously frugal to me. Or like with the kid's birthday, we had an ice cream truck for dessert. I made the mistake of after they sang happy birthday, I said, there's an ice cream truck outside. And then everyone ran without their parents, without shoes to the street.
Oh my God.
But it ended up
I'm glad there weren't any casualties. That would have definitely been one of your like Friday fails.
That'd be a big fail.
But everything's okay.
Everything's good, and it was
It's very exciting.
$225, right? For plus including tip for everyone. Some parents just get to order what they wanted at the ice cream truck.
I love that.
It was fun.
I really do love that. Like those swaps that, you know, it's like no skin off your back.
And I did an activity. We did like we painted pot. My son's really into gardening and butterflies, so we painted pots, and then we planted milkweed, which is like the plant that monarch butterflies need.
Great.
And they're, you know, endangered. I don't know if endangered, but they need help. They
She's
need
a
more
nerd.
milkweed.
She's a nerd.
Yeah. So anyway, but I just hired a babysitter to run the activity instead of like, and I bought the things.
This is at the birthday party?
Yes.
Oh,
So
I
instead
love
of
that.
like hiring a company that might be more expensive, I'm like, here's the activity we're doing. Here's the timing. And the babysitter is obviously great with kids. So I think it's still another swap that saved probably a lot of money.
And you still get excited about saving money? Like, this is the interesting thing about, like, when you have a certain amount of money and you can buy a house and you can wear what you want to wear and you can travel where you want to travel, I think there's like a part of us that's like, well, then I don't have to save anymore. Not you?
No, I feel like you can always save more. Well, there's the goals that you know, right? And then you can always up the goals. Like if, let's say you're saving for retirement and you're meeting that goal, if you save more, you can retire early. That doesn't mean you have to not work, but it doesn't mean you have to work anymore. It's like work optional. So I think in that way, it can still be motivating to increase it. But I do think it's important to be satisfied as well. And say, I think especially when someone catches the bug, like the saving bug, I do have people in my community that need to work on actually spending and enjoying the money because they think of every trade-off as what would this be in 20 years if I invested it?
Oh, wow.
And then they're not spending. So that's why personal finance can be really personal because you have to think about, what do I need? Do I need to turn it up a little so that I save more? Or do I actually need to practice enjoying my money and not feeling guilty when I spend because I am saving enough? So
wait, you said that yourself.
Yes.
Right? Like you're still on the journey and you're trying to enjoy more. I just started following someone who is this, like, I don't know, expert in points for travel.
Yes.
You could just travel for free-ish? Is that a thing? Do you know anything about this? Like,
yes. I'm lucky that my partner is really into points.
What are points? Can we define what these points are?
Yes. So points, you can trade them. I think one of the most, for many of these point systems, a very effective points per dollar trading is international flights.
Oh, wow.
So that is a great way often to use points versus like using them on a gift card. You might get a worse ratio, but you can calculate it. So he's very into credit card offers.
Great.
And saying, okay, when you sign up for this credit card, you get 100,000 points. And what does that translate to as far as, so we typically, when we travel internationally, we use points on our flights so that we typically have to pay the fees.
Yeah.
But we don't pay for flights.
I have a friend who goes to Ibiza every year, and it's all on points. Just all on points.
You can use them on hotels.
Like, living the most fabulous life.
Yeah.
Free-ish. Who knew?
And a lot of times, I actually have a calculator that I can link to where it's calculating because there's the other side of that. There's the people who are really maximizing their points and getting a lot out of it, but there's also this idea like, I should buy it because it's points, you know? And it's so I think I have a calculator to decide if a credit card fee is worth it to you.
Oh.
So for example, if I have, I live in Hoboken, so near Newark. So those airlines are the ones I travel often that have more flights out of there. Getting free check bags because I have that credit card. Okay, how many flights am I taking per year on average? How much would that cost in fees? Okay, what is that worth? You know? And so you can calculate if the perks and the points are worth that fee that you're paying for the card.
Cool. I don't open up credit cards because I'm afraid I'll forget to pay them.
Yeah, I think that credit cards have that big caveat. It's like if you're going to spend more at all, or increase your credit card debt, like none of this is worth it.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
I'm glad. See, I am way more fiscally responsible than I realized.
Yes.
I live close to a Marshall's, and they're always like, you're here all the time. Why don't you get the card? And I'm like, I wouldn't pay it.
That was my first credit card, was the
That's fine.
Bloomingdale's card, and I messed my credit up with it because
Yeah,
I didn't know how to pay. I missed a payment. It was like not an easy system at the time. I don't know if it's gotten better, but the store credit cards can really get you.
Okay, good to know.
Yeah.
Unless you're really good at, figuring them out, and then you can get things for free.
Right. And
not me. It's just not me. It's just not.
And usually the ones that have
me.
the best points are not the store ones.
Oh, but they give you like 50% off. They make it seem pretty cool. You're like,
Right.
oh, your first purchase, and then you're stuck for life.
Right.
I had a Gap card for years.
Yes.
Really.
And then it's like actually being real and looking at like, how much did this save me and was it worth it? Because now, are you shopping there more often because of the card? Like mine, I saved 20% on that purchase, and then I had a blemish on my credit report for 7 years. Yeah.
I love that word, a blemish. Sounds like a pimple. I had a blemish on my
A very annoying pimple.
Okay. Have we missed anything that's really important for the people to know? Maybe for the people to know about you. Actually, you do have another book. We can get into that.
True. My second book.
Look how prolific you are. 5 years ago, you put out a book.
2 years
2 years ago, you put out another one. Are you working on a third?
No.
Okay, well, let's talk about that second one. Honestly, no.
Yeah.
We're here now.
Yeah. Maybe a paperback version of one.
Okay, good. Maybe the audiobook.
Yeah. There is an audiobook.
Oh, good.
Yes, on both.
Fantastic.
Yes. Financial
know, by the
Adulting is my second book, and it's like everything else you need to know. So the Money Cleanse is all about budgeting, mindset, like the numbers of the spending, how to have your spending feel meaningful and align with your values. And then Financial Adulting was to cover all the other questions I get, like how do I pay down my debt? Like, how do I prioritize? What is an estate plan? Tell me about taxes. Like, it covers everything.
Tell me about taxes, by the way.
Yeah.
Short of moving to Florida, how do we deal with taxes? What are your plans about taxes?
That's a very big question. Taxes.
What are your biggest tips on taxes? Paying less taxes.
Biggest tips. So
that's legal.
Yeah.
Always legal.
Keep it legal on here. No,
yeah.
I'm always legal. I would say contributing to tax advantaged accounts if you can.
What does that mean?
Yeah. So.
Whoa! I need a break. I'm shifting.
Let's readjust here.
Gotta readjust. Wow. Well, let's get into
So
that.
if I think about the hierarchy of how I would say, if you said, what are the hierarchy of ways I should put aside money? I would say first and foremost, you want like at least $1,000 in a crisis fund. That's like rainy day emergency, minimum amount, right? Then if you have 401k matching through your work, take advantage of it, because what that's saying is if you put money in it, they're giving you that amount. So that's like 100% return off the bat.
Very good percentage.
Very good. And 401ks and IRAs, which stands for individual retirement accounts, are those tax advantage accounts I'm talking about for retirement. So like depending on, this is always like a caveat, depending on your tax situation, like your income level. But for the 401k, that basically reduces your taxable income. It goes in pre-tax.
Okay.
If it's a traditional versus, let's just keep it traditional. So if it's a traditional,
guys, let's keep it traditional. Okay.
It goes in pre-tax and reduces your taxable income. Plus, so another tax thing is when you sell an investment, you typically pay taxes on how much it grew, which is called capital gains. Mm-hmm. If you buy and sell within a year, you pay income tax on it, which is probably higher, right? That stinks. If you
one
hold
on top of the other.
So instead, you'll pay like that. That's how you calculate the number.
Okay.
It will be your income tax number, the percentage. And then if you hold it for over a year, you pay capital gains, which is like 0 to 20%. Most of us, it's 15%. So lower than income. But you, in your retirement accounts, in these advantaged accounts, you don't pay taxes on your gains.
Oh.
So you're getting a tax benefit when you contribute, typically, and when on your growth.
Okay.
So that's great.
Great.
529, same thing. You don't pay taxes on the growth.
What's 529?
That is a college savings account.
Oh, great.
Yeah.
Important.
Yes, important. And then also same with health savings accounts. A lot of times once you hit a balance of a certain amount, you can start investing that money and you don't have to pay. And also you can use it for pre-tax medical expenses.
Oh.
So that's good. And 529 is like a tax-free essentially for education expenses.
Guys.
So those accounts, I think if you're looking to reduce taxes, and I would say, so the hierarchy was that crisis fund, 401k matching,
Yes.
pay off credit cards, retirement because of all these great tax advantages, and then kind of everything, like building up the rainy day too in there, like 3 to 6 months of cash or savings in a high yield savings account, and then the rest.
Thank you so much.
It's a lot.
And by the way, friends, you are welcome. Wow, it is a lot. I guess it's why you're doing this mentorship every month.
Yes, and people will message me like, how do I prioritize? Here's what I got going on. Like, what do you think? And so I think everyone, it sounds very simple, but we all have different things going on, and we all have different relationships with debt. Like maybe you have a low interest loan, but you just hate having debt. You might treat that differently than someone who feels really comfortable with it. And like, I know I've worked with doctors who are like, live in a mansion and they just still are paying off their loans, and they treat it like a payment, like a car payment, and they're happy. But others who are like, I need to pay this off immediately.
Yeah,
so,
that was me.
Yeah, I think it's
I couldn't handle it.
Yeah. So that's important to take into account too.
But I know other people who are just like totally easy with, having debt, and it being actually, like, from a math perspective, it sometimes makes more sense to have a little bit of debt, enjoy your life, make money, invest where you want.
Right, because on average over the last like 30, 50 years, if you invested in the market, it makes like 8.2, 8.3%, adjusting for inflation. So if you have a mortgage, like 3%, 4%, it really financially, right, doesn't make sense to prioritize paying that off first, or a low student loan.
Right.
But at the same time, like, you don't know what's going to happen in those years. So it's just important to know and be able to weigh. Here's like what financially technically makes the most sense, and here's what my gut and like what's important to me, and I know this will drive me crazy.
Yeah.
And weighing it a little bit.
That's in Financial Adulting, the second book. Amazing. I'm wondering, before we leave, like, how has motherhood affected your relationship with money and your career? You have kids the same age as me, so
I know.
It's been a while. It actually, it feels like we're firmly planted after 7 years in this mom life. It doesn't feel so new for me. Does it feel so new for you?
It feels, well, the age is new, and the changes are always new, but it's been really fun having money conversations with my son.
Do you listen to Million Bazillion? It's a podcast about money for kids. I put that on for my son because I'm like, don't be in the dark like me.
Yes, I think it's important. It was funny because I must talk about it, because I was trying to find a magazine that I was actually, like, I was in it and I wanted to read it and buy it. And he's like, are you sure you're not going to regret this purchase, Mom?
Oh, good for you.
Have you wanted this for 48 hours?
Actually, my kids have been saying, that's expensive. And I'm like, oh, God, I don't know. But I value it. Like what am I supposed to, like, I guess I've been saying that word a lot.
Right. I think how it's affected, what was it, my career, you said, or my money?
Motherhood has like affected your relationship with money, maybe on a personal level, but maybe also just in general.
Right. Yeah. Well, he makes sure I practice what I preach. He's watching all the time.
Yeah, he is.
And I'd say I think the value of time. I've really, honestly, I was thinking about it, that I switched careers in my 20s to have more time. So I've really always valued balance and like having time for myself,
and enjoying, you said, like, your whole intention, it's like constantly growing that.
Right. And now you just added like another really big thing in. So you just get more. I think I'm very aware of time and very aware of the value of time and how you want to spend it. And of course there's a lot more expenses that have been added with kids, and a lot of future thinking, like, are you saving for the bar mitzvahs? Like,
are you gonna skip that bar mitzvah?
Right. We're gonna have a little party now.
Yeah.
And
Ice cream
camp,
truck.
and just thinking there's a lot of big expenses that are long term.
Yeah.
Right? So
I just want to say thank you so much for spending your time with me today.
Thank you.
And with all of us, and Johan, who I hope gets wealthy like the rest of us. So I'm really excited to read both of your books, and I'll probably see you in that monthly course. Because I won't do it on my own. It's not intuitive for me. You know what I mean?
It's really fun, and I think there's something to just being able to say, someone came on and said, my numbers were high this month, or it's just a very supportive community. And there's statistics or research around accountability.
Mm-hmm.
And when you tell someone you're going to do something, there's like a 65% chance you do it.
Wow.
And if that person checks in on you or says they're going to check in on you, it goes to like 98%.
That's incredible.
So,
plus, I love a party.
Yes.
I love two
great.
parties. Money party, investing party.
You get all the recordings so you can watch them later too.
Great. All right. Well, where can we find you otherwise to get all these? You have a bunch of freebies that I really appreciate. Thank you for that. And all of your really cute reels on Instagram. Are you on TikTok also and the rest of them? Good for you. Yeah. Okay, tell us, where do we find you?
So it's all the socials are at the Fiscal Femme.
Mm-hmm.
So TheFiscalFemme. And all the freebies you're talking about are at thefiscalfemme.com. There's downloads. Mm-hmm. So there's like a budgeting spreadsheet, a net worth tracker, which net worth tracking I think is very important because it keeps us honest.
Yeah.
It's like all the things you own minus all the things you owe. And it's less about the number, more about the trajectory. And sometimes our bank account balance feels high or feels low, but then our credit, it's just, I think it's helpful for the
keeps
full
you
picture.
in reality.
In reality.
Because like numbers don't lie.
And there's a moving budget. Like I just did a move. So how to map that out financially.
Congratulations on that.
Thank you.
Big deal.
There's guides like how to have a money party if you don't want to join the money club.
Great.
But you should. So
great.
Yeah, lots of guides.
Thank you. I've learned so much today. I hope you have too. I'm at Daniela Rabbani or at Mom Curious on Instagram. Thank you for listening. See you in 2 weeks. Thank you, as always, for listening to the Mom Curious podcast. My name is Daniela Rabbani. I am your host, and I would love to continue this conversation at Daniela Rabbani on Instagram. And if you'd be so kind to rate and review, share this podcast, I would be just really grateful. Catch you next time, every Tuesday on the Mom Curious podcast. Produced by Hoff Studios. You can find them at Hoff Studios on Instagram as well. All right, have a great day.